Please be seated. Thank you. You're still under your previous oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please do proceed.
Thank you, Justice Museneke. Dr. Manamela, while sitting here during the adjournments, I see that you are consulted by a gentleman in a suit and you take notes from what he tells you. Can you tell us who that is?
He's my son.
Your son?
Yes.
And what is his name?
His name is Kenneth.
And is he a lawyer?
No.
What information does he give you that you have to write down?
No, we were just talking.
Going through the files and talking? You made some notes earlier, minutes before the arbitrator came in. What was that about?
I was making notes of things that I think I will talk about.
And he was helping you?
No, they were asking me, how do I do?
I'm going to
Even
proceed.
helping.
I'm going to hand a document to you. Justice, I wish to hand in a document, LR 84. Dr. Manamela, that is the address of the Minister of Health in Parliament on the 23rd of February 2016. Do you see that?
Yes, Council.
I just want to have your comment on some of the things that he says. You will see there are numbers on the left side indicating the line numbers, and the page numbers are on the top. Do you see that?
Yes, Council.
It starts off by saying, as we all are, that the National Minister are deeply distressed and angered.
You meant to say 23rd February 2017.
Yes, did I not, Justice? I apologize.
No problem.
He says that it's one of the periods of darkness in our history, and it's a moment of madness in the Provincial Health Department. That's between lines 10 and 15 on page 1. Did you see that?
Line 15.
Line 11 to line 14, to be precise. Do you agree with him that it's a period of darkness in our history?
I don't have line 11. Line 11, let me count.
Okay, let's try again. Normally, when lawyers print out a document, they tend to write the line numbers on the left. Can you see that?
Yes, I see 10.
So for easy detection, on the right top corner would be the page number.
Yes.
And all of those lines represent 5 lines, 10 lines sometimes. So counsel is referring you to line 11, more or less there, which is just after 10.
All right.
And she's going to put a question to you.
I see it now. Thank you, Justice.
The National Minister says to Parliament it's a period of darkness in our history. Do you agree?
That's what he has written, yes.
And it says it's a moment of madness of the Provincial Health Department. Do you agree?
Yes, it's written here.
Yes, and do you agree with that statement?
I don't know because I didn't write the statement.
Ma'am, please.
Let's try and help you understand. Counsel want to test whether you agree with the contents. She has already told you you haven't written it. He wants to know whether you agree with what the minister had occasion to say on the 23rd of February 2017. Just listen to each question and you say, I agree with him or I don't. Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. Dr. Manamela, do you agree that it's a moment of madness in the Provincial Health Department?
I don't know whether to agree or not.
You've got a doctorate. Surely you're an educated woman. Surely you can tell us whether you agree with something or not.
I won't say I I will say partially agree and partially not, because I don't know. This is the version of the minister, national minister.
Can I ask you this, Dr. Manamela? Now, seeing what has happened, do you agree that it was a moment of madness?
Okay, yes.
Thank you. And at line 15, the national minister continues and it says, our anguish is exacerbated because these are the most vulnerable people in society. And you agree with that, being a psychiatric nurse, that the people we worked with here was the most vulnerable.
That's correct.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Thank you. Line 17 says the idea behind the Gauteng Mental Health Marathon project, as it came to be known, was to save money. There's a spelling mistake. Add another dimension to our disappointment and pain. Do you agree that this project was to save money? Just answer.
That's correct.
And then he says in line 19, I wish to put on record that at no stage did it emerge directly or indirectly, implicit or explicitly, that the Department of Health nationally or in any promise has run out of money to take care of mentally ill patients. Do you agree with that statement?
I don't know.
You saying that the minister is incorrect, your department had run out of money.
I'm not saying that.
Please then tell us what you are saying, doctor.
I don't work in finance. I don't know.
Ma'am, that's an easy answer out, but you're the head of the department with a budget, and you have to look at your budget to make sure that you comply with your obligations. So please don't go there and insult the families of the victims, please. Did your department run out of money?
In my line of duty, I don't handle even money for paying life Esidimeni. That's why I say I don't know.
Did you not have insight in your budget?
I was told that we don't have enough money. That one I know, but
please,
in my
doctor,
budget.
Please answer my question. Did you not have insight as a director of your budget?
I had insight of the budget that was used the previous year, but for the following year, I didn't have insight.
You didn't budget for at all as a manager of a unit?
We budgeted for life Esidimeni on 5-year period. So that's what I know. But when the termination was taking place, I didn't have an idea of how much money was allowed for life Esidimeni.
Please, doctor, please just answer my questions. My question is, do you not budget in your department?
I budget.
So you have insight in a budget and you prepare budgets. Is that correct?
Yes, I prepare
So to
budget.
say that you're not agreeing with the minister that you've run out of money, you can't use the excuse that you don't have insight into the budget. So please tell us, why do you not agree with the minister?
I didn't say I do not agree. I said I don't know, because the minister is saying that the Department of Health nationally or in any province has run out of money to take care of mentally ill patients.
And you said you don't agree with that.
I didn't say I don't agree. I said I don't have much insight in our own province, because the minister's vision, all the provinces have money for managing mentally
I'm going to try again then, man. All this is typed, so we will see what your answer was. Do you agree with the national minister that no department has run out of money to care for mentally ill patients?
I agree with him,
Thank you.
but I don't know in our department.
At line 22, he says was hence no reason for so many vulnerable people to perish on account of money. Do you agree with him?
That's correct.
And you agree you were the person that prepared the plan that caused this?
No, we prepared the plan as the collective.
Doctor, you're deflecting and you're denying and you're insulting the victims' families and the deceased families. Are you saying that you would not oversee that plan? You weren't the person that signed it.
I am saying the plan was a collective process. That's what I'm saying.
Are you taking responsibility at all, Dr. Manamela?
As part of the project team, I will take responsibility
Now, for
in
what
other
are
areas.
you taking responsibility? Please inform us that we can know.
Maybe I will say I will take partial responsibility in terms of signing the license as advice based on the report that was submitted to my office by the district and my DD.
Let us put it another way. Are you taking responsibilities for the failure of this program that resulted in people suffering and dying?
I have mentioned that it was a collective area.
I'm not talking about collective. Please, doctor, I'm asking, are you taking responsibility for what has happened, that people suffered and died?
I am taking partial responsibility.
Okay. We will get back to that. We are going to continue in that line. The minister says, I interrogated this issue with the Premier of the Gauteng province because I wanted to understand what actually the Executive Council of the province discussed and approved. He told me that the issue never featured on the agenda of the Executive Council, but that he as Premier was told at the Department of Health that they have 4,000 beds in public health institutions which they would like to use, and there's absolutely no reason to continue contracting services for private companies when public sector is able to provide that number of beds. Where did that information come from?
I don't know.
Because this is not true. Do you agree?
It's not true that I don't know.
Yes. I'm just going to read from line 29, just to put it in perspective. It says, this August House must please note that Esidimeni contract is for 2,000 patients, and hence the statement meant that they could be accommodated twice. Now we know that's not true.
I don't know about these numbers.
I would want you to tell us how this got to the Premier and how this got to the Minister. It's your department.
Okay. At my department, I am the lowest manager. There are 4 people above me, and I've never, I don't meet with the Premier, I don't prefer the Premier or the Minister. The seniority in the department allows the 4 people above me to speak to the Premier and to write to him, and also
we take note of that. You've said it quite a few times. But you're the only person in the mental health department. So information about mental health must come from your department. Is that not so?
If they want it from my department, I give, but I don't know about this one.
So do you have any guess how this information got to the National Minister and to the Premier?
I don't know. I can't guess.
If we can continue on, line 31. The Premier assures me that at no time was the issue of NGOs ever raised until that fateful day in September when the MEC made the announcement of 36 deaths in the provincial legislature. Do you agree with that?
I also don't know.
You see, just before the lunch adjournment, we looked at the press statement, and the press statement said exactly that. Patients will go to hospitals, and those that are healthy will either go home or to NGOs. So,
Yes.
where does this then come from? Do you know?
But for the Premier to know, he said at no time was he issued with the NGO. It will not come from me because I do not report to the Premier. It's just, it cannot come from me. That's why I don't know. I don't correspond with the MEC, with the Premier. And this question maybe is not directed properly to the relevant person.
I'm just going to direct it again at you.
Okay, it's fine.
The press statement with which you agree just prior to the lunch adjournment was that healthy people will go home or to NGOs, sick people will go to hospitals. Do you agree with that?
That one I agree.
Now, this is exactly what the Minister of Health is saying.
Can I say he is saying at no time was the Premier informed. That's what I say, I don't know. He said, the statement said, Premier assured the Minister that at no time he was issued with the NGOs. That's the part I don't know. But
And your answer is you don't inform the Premier directly about anything.
yes, yes, Justice.
Now, the question that Council puts to you is, you as head of mental health care in the province, did you not supply this information?
The information I supplied is with this 36th death, I know. But that the Premier was never told about the NGO, I don't know.
You supplied information on the 36 deaths,
Yes, the
but not on what was told to the Premier when the project started.
That is not at my level.
And then Council says to you, but you remember the press release of the MEC, Tani
Yes,
Mahlangu.
Council.
She too excludes any of these patients being placed at NGOs. And Council says, is this a coincidence?
With due respect, Justice, she has included that some patient will go to the NGO. But the fact that she reported to Premier or not, I do not know. That's why the Premier says at that time, he didn't know until when he got the report of the patients who died.
That's your answer.
I'm
Do
going
with
to-
it what you know, Council.
I'm just going to leave that there for a moment, Justice. Ma'am, please turn the page of LR 84. Now, on this page, the National Minister deals with a court case of which you're aware, the December court case, and
Ella 84.
the document that you have in front of you, ma'am.
Okay.
Councillor, stand over to
Sorry
page
about
2.
it.
Just
Okay.
listen to the question carefully, and she'll guide you there.
The National Minister puts the December court case into perspective, as well as the agreement, and we will, at a later stage, go back to that. And then he talks about, at line 39, about the agreement, and he says, this Honourable House may please note that the agreement says nothing about NGOs. It emphasizes that wherever they are taken, and referring to mental health care users, it must be a place of no lesser quality than life Esidimeni. You would agree with that?
Yes, Council.
Let us just break them down so that it's not too...
And it's the same thing that Professor Freeman told you, isn't it? In an email. Exactly the same principle, which I put to you much earlier. But you go ahead, Council. You don't,
Thank you.
Don't get
Let us just break this up in two. The first thing is the agreement doesn't deal with NGOs. You agree with that? Just yes or no, please, Doctor.
I need to understand the agreement on this.
It's the court case, the December court case of which you are aware, and we will come back to the December court case.
Oh, this is this December court case
Yes.
that the agreement does not
Yes.
deal with NGO.
Yes, you agree with that?
I don't remember, but can I qualify that the agreement, if it was about Takalani. So I don't know if it was not dealing with the NGO because Takalani was NGO. So I don't agree with this because the contentious matter was about the Takalani, and Takalani is NGO.
Are you sure about that statement at the time of the court case that Takalani was an NGO? Are you 100% sure?
Yes, Council.
It may be fairer to put it to the witness, take the witness to the settlement agreement terms,
Yes, I will do that.
and then the minister makes them the conclusion.
Yes. Could I just tell you that the agreement in December wasn't about Takalani at all? But let us just go. We will get back to that, I promise you. If we can go on to page 3 of this document. The first line says, unfortunately, the Gauteng Department of Health did not honor this agreement. And therefore, Section 27 rushed back into court. You remember that?
Yes, Council.
And then line 5.
But does the witness agree? Do you agree that you did not honor the agreement?
No, I agree with the statement.
Okay. Thank you, Justice.
Okay.
Do you agree with what the minister says, that you did not honor the agreement?
That's correct.
Thank you. Line 5, the Honourable Minister says, unfortunately, the Gauteng Department of Health was able to convince the court that we are honouring the plan. Do you see that he says that?
Yes, Council, I see it.
And do you agree with what he stated? That you convinced the court, despite your earlier concession, that you were no, you mustn't interrupt me. I won't interrupt you. Let's try to do that.
Apology for that.
You already said that you weren't honouring the plan. Now, the minister says it's unfortunate that you convinced the court of this untruth. Do you agree with that?
Can I now say, when I said yes, I was looking at the unfortunate. I didn't know you were still talking to the min-max, the page behind. So that's what I wanted to say. With this one, I will say I agree. That my agreement was with the unfortunate, because this one, after 35, you didn't read it. So I was concentrating on the agreement.
Please, if you could concentrate on my questions rather, if you don't mind, Doctor. Let's then go back. Do you agree that the department did not, you're again writing and reading and not listening?
No, I am listening.
Do you agree that the department did not honour the agreement?
I agree.
Thank you. And do you also agree that you, despite knowing that you're not honouring the agreement, you convinced the court that you were, and this was in March?
Can Can I say that on the
No, please answer my question now. As you sitting there, you know that you misled the court. Isn't that so?
I did not mislead the court.
Okay. We'll get back to that. You didn't make an affidavit. Are you saying you didn't make an affidavit, Dr. Manamela?
My affidavit was not about that agreement.
Yes, your affidavit was about that. We will show it to you just now. So let us just understand each other. Are you saying you misled the court as you sit there? Or are you saying you didn't mislead the court as you sit there?
I am saying in terms of that court case with Section 27, I did not mislead the court.
As you sit on that chair at this stage, you're saying the court was not misled?
I am saying yes, that's correct.
You understand that there is reference to the second case, the interdict.
The second interdict. Yes, yes, Justice. Maybe the only thing is that I didn't give an opportunity to read the whole of this, but I know with the court case, I did not mislead the court.
We will get to that. But even now, in hindsight, knowing what has happened, are you still remaining in that position that you are adamant that you didn't mislead the court?
I did not mislead the court because of what was the situation at that time.
Now, I'm asking as you sit there,
yes,
Doctor,
yes,
please answer.
I did not mislead the court.
And you still maintain that? You're not taking responsibility for that?
I still say I did not mislead the court.
Let us go to line 10 on page 3. Armed with this court outcome, the Gauteng Department of Health then fought off any attempts by the National Health Director General and the National Chief Director of Mental Health, who was supposed to have been invited to all meetings in Gauteng, where the plan was to be tabled and executed. What do you say to that?
For the first time, I hear that National Health was supposed to be invited. That's when I hear the DG talking about it. Like, as I said, at my 4th level, I didn't know about this.
Okay. The gist of this is, do you agree that you didn't work together with the National Department?
That's correct, Council.
And do you agree if you had done so, the outcome might have been different?
I don't know.
Okay, let's go to line 15. I'm going to just leave that as your answer for the moment. Line 15 says, firstly, NGOs were issued invalid licenses as the Health Ombudsman discovered later during investigations. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that.
You say the licenses were validly issued.
That's correct.
Okay. The licenses were issued by the Director of Mental Health, and that's you, is it not?
That's correct.
Who is not empowered to do so. Do you agree with that statement?
I don't.
You say you were empowered, and you will take us to the relevant legislative empowerment.
That's correct.
Can you do so now?
Thank you. I think it's Regulation 43 that guide us. Maybe let me just take my file and guide. Mental Health Care Act 17 of 2002, 66, 0 in bracket, O in bracket, authorization and licensing of health establishment
Just where are you reading now?
I'm reading on the Mental Health Care Act, section
Are you in the Act or the regulation?
I'm in the I'm in the Act.
Okay. And in the Act, to which section are you referring?
66. Oh,
Okay. You're referring to the enabling section. You're referring to the enabling section in the Act, referring to the regulations, yes?
yes.
And where do you want to refer there?
I want to refer to 66.0 and 72 on delegation of powers.
Sorry, ma'am, I'm still not sure. Where in 66 are you referring?
On 66, I'm referring to where it says authorization and licensing of health establishments administered under the auspices of the state, a non-governmental organization or private body providing mental health care, treatment and rehabilitation services and conditions to be attached to authorization of licenses.
Okay.
72, delegation of power. The national department or provincial department may enter into agreement with a non-governmental organization or public or private provider of goods and service in order to exercise power to perform perform function and duties under this act.
Where are
And
you reading
then
now, ma'am?
on the-
No, no,
Seven-
just
72 sub 6.
sub 6. Yes. Can you just go up to 72(1)A?
I don't have the act, but I've got the summary with me. I've
Well,
written
maybe I
from-
should then read section 72(1)A to you,
Okay.
because it says delegation can be given except for the powers referred to in section 66. Okay, you've now read those for us. Are you going to help us where your delegation comes from? Or where your power to issue licenses come from?
Okay. Number 6 in bracket say if a condition of a license,
Number what?
it's just in my document.
Yes.
It's not in your document.
But where did you get it, ma'am?
I got it from the mental health care. This is amended mental health.
Okay, but you've got the Mental Health Care
Oh,
Act before you. Please
let's-
use that one.
I've got the mental health care policy. This is the policy, but what
Just,
I have.
just at the back, just turn to the back, please, doctor.
Okay.
Which section are you looking for? Then I can direct you to the page, doctor.
I'm looking for 66.
Section 66 is on page 41 of 46.
It's on regulations. It's not what I have here. I'm looking for the one on licensing.
You're looking
Because
for the
here-
regulation on licensing.
Yes, here I see here is talking. I spoke about the act first. Now I came to the regulation. So can I just be given a moment to check according to what I have? Regulation amended 6 November 2014. I don't know if it's what you have cancelled.
Yes.
You are going at 66.0.
No, 66.0 is in the act. Now in the regulation, amendment 43 of the regulation, and is hereby amended on this date, 6 November 2014, which say by the substitution and sub-regulation, one of the following sub-regulation, any service not directly run under the auspice of the organ of state and which is not a designated psychiatric hospital or care and rehabilitation center, but which provide residential or daycare facilities by the subsection, daycare facilities of 5 people or more with mental disorder must, in terms of the Act, be by the substitution of sub-regulation 2 of the following regulation. The condition of license contemplated sub-regulation 1 must be clearly stipulated by the provincial department concerned and must include, it went down to indicate what is included, which I didn't put here.
Okay,
But
are
it's
you
saying
saying,
the
ma'am,
provincial department?
Okay, and you say you're the provincial department.
Because I was in the provincial department,
So
I was
anybody in
covered.
provincial department can issue a license. Is that what you're saying?
Not
Do
anybody.
you have a delegation?
The delegation letter I don't have, but the Act and regulation further says, indicate clearly where the delegation must be done. For example, for 72-hour assessment, it indicates clearly.
ma'am,
For psychosurgery, it indicates clearly. But when it comes to the license, it's just that the provincial department concerned, and in terms of this, my unit was in the provincial department, and it was only my unit that was concerned. And at that level, I signed the license, and it has been
just a
signed
moment.
that way
Council,
throughout.
this is a matter of law.
Yes, absolutely.
Why
Justice.
must we debate
I'm
with
just trying to
a
understand why.
psychiatric nurse about whether she has authority or not? I don't think we should do that. I think
Thank you, Justice. I just want to establish.
she must tell you what she relies on, and by very carefully reading, you see that she needs a delegation.
Yes.
She says she doesn't have one, and that's the end of the inquiry, frankly.
Thank you, Justice.
But we can't argue about what the law says
No, I
with witnesses. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Justice. I wasn't going to take legal advice at this stage.
Yes, absolutely not.
Thank
yeah.
you. Let us just continue then. I hear that you say that you don't agree with the minister, and you've shown us in the Act where you rely on.
Okay.
Yes. If we can go.
Can I?
Okay, no, I will ask the questions and then you answer them. It goes a little bit easier.
I wanted to
But
finish
talk to me. Remember, ultimately, you're talking to me.
Just
The council
yeah.
asked the questions, but you talk to me.
Justice.
What do you want to do?
I wanted to further indicate that
Yes, ma'am.
the Provincial Department of Health will license and regulate provision of community, those NGOs. Ne? That's what it was saying. And by doing that, the Provincial Department keeps the section 43 of regulation, meaning that there is no way in the regulation and in the Act where it said the mental health care unit or director will
You
require
are not head of the
delegation.
department. Look, the minister just records the fact that you had no power to issue licenses. It's a legal question, man. I don't know if you heard me. With respect. The question whether or not you have the power to sign, it's not a personal preference. We determine it by law. You refer us to empowering provisions in section 43, which entitles the minister to make regulations. Then you have to go to the regulations to see whether you have the power. We find that the department has the power. Then the next question is whether HOD delegated properly to you. You've already told us there was no delegation. That's the end of that inquiry. And we'll deal with that. It's a matter of law. They were just drawing your attention to the fact that the minister recalls that all your licenses were unlawful because it's the HOD who should have issued them, aside from other defects in the license. So the short thing you can say, I agree with him, I don't agree with him, but we lawyers know that we have to determine it legally. Can you give us a short answer so we move on?
A short answer will say the regulation and the Act does not indicate whether I should have a delegation or not. On that basis, I signed the license, and my predecessors, those who were there before they signed
Do you
the
now
license.
accept that you made an error? When
Because they-
subsequently people who understand the law better than you told you that you had no authority, do you accept that judgment? I'm not saying you dishonestly did it. You might have thought you had the power. Do you accept now that you is the HOD who represents a department ordinarily, and absent a delegation, you would not have the power of an HOD? Do you accept that?
Because there is no delegation on the act, I don't, because if they were saying the HOD will delegate you, I will accept that, Chief, with due respect. The act is silent on
So
that.
you're giving us legal advice now, are you?
No, I'm not. And I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm saying the act was silent on that. So that's why I'm
But do you
unable to
accept
accept
now
it.
that you were wrong? The law doesn't give you the power, but the HOD the power.
But even now, the act is still don't say HOD justice. It's still it's still silent, even as we speak, until they change the act. I'm not saying I'm going to do it again because the department will determine. But now, as I'm reading, even from the act, it's still the same. It's still silent on whether I should have given the delegation or not.
Don't you think it tells us what kind of person you are? You may know many things, but construction of statutes may not be your strongest point, ma'am. The minister says you were wrong, you had no power. The only question is, do you agree with the minister or not? And the answer is no, okay? You don't agree, right?
I'm not saying I have power, but I just said the act is the one that made me to do that. I'm not saying the minister is wrong. If that's how the Department of Health, they see it in national, I won't say they are wrong, Justice. But I'm just giving you what guided me. I can't, Chief Justice.
No, mara ka re-
You want to know on
Minister
what
Raga,
basis?
you did not have the power. How could you persist today and say, and I've looked at it, quickly I've looked at it, and I know you needed the delegation to have the power. Do you challenge that? Don't you agree with that?
Chief Justice, the other NGOs, they were from Chief Justice Mwepe. It was also said the license is silent. It's silent. I won't dispute if the department say I shouldn't, it's fine. But the act is silent. I started by saying I was guided by the act to agree on termination.
Okay. We don't need this legal advice, do we? Shall we get to another area, please?
Thank you. Justice Musneke, I just want to interrogate one aspect of the answer, if I may.
Yes.
You heard for the first time from the Ombud. Ma'am, you're writing again and you're not listening.
I'm writing your questions so that I don't have problems.
You heard for the first time from the Ombud that you're not authorized to issue licenses. Is that so?
That's correct.
And as a direct result of this, you didn't say to the Ombud, well, I have a delegation or I am authorized. You didn't say that to the Ombud. Is that correct?
I told the Ombuds what I said to you, but he asked me, do you have a delegation letter? And I say, I don't have a delegation letter.
So
and
you accepted that
I'm also say the delegation letter I don't have.
Okay. So you accepted that you didn't have the authority. Do you agree with me?
That I didn't have the delegation letter.
No, ma'am. Please just, Doctor, please just answer my question. Did you accept that you didn't have authority when the Ombud raised this with you? Just yes or no?
No.
Well, could I then ask, why did you ask Dr. Salabane to reissue these licenses?
Counsel, it was not me. He told me that the MEC asked him to issue the licenses. And I explained to him that other licenses of 110 NGOs that I signed, what are you going to do with them? And he said, let them prepare them and I'll discuss that with the MEC.
So are you now saying that you never asked Dr. Esidimeni to re-sign these licenses?
No, I didn't ask her. He
And you
told
didn't raise
me-
this at your appeal at all against the Ombuds report?
I raised it at the appeal that I didn't ask him. He said the MEC asked because they were still already query. And that's what they said. And then said, bring the licenses. I'll discuss them with the MEC. And then the next thing I was given, those licenses were signed. And I couldn't query it because when we were busy with Ombuds, we had to comply with what the Ombuds is saying. So I didn't query it when he re-signed the other licenses.
Ma'am, I will leave that part for argument. Can I continue on this letter?
You mean the statement of the minister?
Yeah, thank you, Justice. It's late in the day.
Yes.
Line 18, page 3, says, secondly, the NGOs went to Life Esidimeni to pick up patients on their own and brought them to their homes without files, without diagnosis, and all the necessary ingredients that would bring quality health care. Do you see that?
I see it.
Do you agree with that statement of the minister?
Partially agreeing, and others.
Please tell us what you agree with.
I agree that they came without files, where they will not know the diagnosis, and that necessary ingredients that will bring qualities were not there.
And do you?
But the first part that they went to pick up is the one that I don't agree.
Are you saying that the NGOs didn't go and pick up their own patients?
Few of them, but pick up means a lot. I wanted to say they went and collect the patient that were allocated to them, not just to go and pick up. That's the part I don't agree. Not unless I don't understand the word pick up.
Can I just quickly, on that aspect, ma'am, take you to file number 8? If you could go to page 2818.
28.
2818.
Okay. I have 2818. Sorry.
And this again is your project plan. Do you recognize it as your project plan that we're dealing with?
Yes, Council.
If you go to page 2818.
2818, yes.
If you go to the bottom of that page, to the third block from the bottom.
2818.
Yes, I'm there.
It says, identify and collect users from Life Esidimeni to the NGOs. Do you see that?
Yes, Council.
And it says, under who's responsible? The identified NGOs and the Life Esidimeni management. Do you see that?
That's correct.
So the minister's statement corresponds with what is in your own plan. Don't you agree?
I agree.
Thank you. So, in fact, the minister's statement is completely correct, not partially correct. Do you agree?
Can I qualify what I
Just
said?
first, just answer my question first, and then you can qualify.
If the minister used this part, is correct. But if you look at the third column of time frames, it's not the time frames where patients were collected. That's why I said...
Doctor, I wasn't referring you to time frames.
Okay.
And we all know that those time frames changed. Isn't that so?
Okay, that's correct.
And we've heard evidence that it's changed. You've testified that it's changed. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
So why are you deflecting and why are you denying all the time?
No, I am not denying. That's why I didn't know that you are basing this on this one. I just wanted to highlight it.
Let me just take you to the next page. You can go to line 7.
We're back with the statement, right?
We're back with the statement. Sorry,
Yes.
Justice. I
That's
am.
a very fruitful inquiry, Counsel.
To go back to the statement, Justice.
Yes, I say no, continue. It is a fruitful inquiry.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are many documents that will show us many things, but it's a summation of the tragedy, frankly. Yes, please proceed.
Thank you, Justice. Line 7 says, it's common knowledge that the Health Ombud arrived at a finding that this mental health review board in Gauteng was actually moribund, ineffective, and without authority and without independence. Do you see that line?
Can I be assisted? Which page is that?
Page 4,
Okay, I was at
line
page 7.
7.
I see it.
And do you agree with that?
I don't.
You say that the Health Ombud was alive and well and effective and independent. The
review board.
The review board.
That's correct.
Okay. And can I ask you, why do you say that? No, I'm not going to ask you why you say that. Let me continue.
Well, another line could be, well, the chairperson of the board came here and agreed and said they were indeed moribund. They reported to you. You ordered them to go and do a whole range of things. They did not even know that they were independent.
As far as I know, Justice, was that they were independent. And even in meetings, they will tell me, they will ask that they are independent. So that's what I know. But I did ask them to help us in other areas, and it was the decision of the chairperson to agree or not.
Doctor, if I can continue, line 9. Now, he says his reasons why he agrees with the Ombud. He says this is because the Director of Mental Health, and that's you, the same person who issued invalid licenses to NGOs, issued invalid appointments to the Mental Health Review Board and subjected them to fall under her unit. So let us break that up. Do you see that sentence?
I see it, Counsel.
You agree you're the Director of Mental Health?
I am the Director of the
And you're the
Mental Health.
person that issued the invalid licenses?
I didn't issue invalid licenses.
And you issued invalid appointments to the Mental Health Review Board?
I didn't appoint the Mental Health Review Board.
No, it says invalid appointments. You say you didn't have invalid appointments.
I didn't even appoint them.
Okay,
regardless
and then
of the word
subjected them
invalid.
to fall under her unit. Did you do that?
I didn't do that.
Then it says, that is why they did not exercise the authority to challenge the Gauteng Mental Health Marathon Project as empowered by the Act. That has a ring of truth to it, doesn't it?
I beg your pardon.
Do you agree with this last sentence that I've just read?
No, Counsel, because I don't agree with the upper one, so I cannot agree with this. The board was independent and reporting to the MEC.
And you saying that the Mental Health Review Board independently made sure that nobody died?
I cannot say that, but the only problem maybe that led the minister to say that is that they were housed in the unit of Mental Health Directorate. Maybe that was not properly conveyed to the minister. but they were not reporting to me.
Ma'am, I'm going to leave that letter for a moment and just put it aside. We've established now, you signed off on the plan. You agree with that? Your signature, your fingerprints are all over the plan.
I agree that I
Thank you.
signed the plan.
Thank you. And we agreed that you were aware that it wasn't a financially sound decision, first of all. You already agreed to that. Is that correct?
I didn't agree to that.
You want us to go back there? Okay, let us go there. If we look at the information so far, we know that Life Esidimeni was paid 320 Rand per person per day. Do you agree with that?
That's correct.
That works out to 9,920 Rand per month. Would you agree to that?
Yes, Council.
According to the evidence, at the start of this project, there was 1,442 patients in Life Esidimeni. Would you agree to that?
Yes, Council.
Now, if we then look at how much it costs for those patients per month, it will work out to more or less plus minus 14 million Rand per month. Do you agree with that?
That's correct.
And that would work out to more or less 171 million Rand per year. Do you agree with that?
That's correct.
And that was the cost that you wanted to curb. Is that so?
At the beginning.
Just yes or no, ma'am?
Okay, yes.
Thank you. You had advised that that was good, a way to spend your money. You agree with that?
I missed the point.
In May 2015, you got the report to say Life Esidimeni is rendering a good service at a good price. You knew that.
That's correct.
Now let us go to your report, to your plan. If we can go to page 2810 in volume 8.
2810.
The court would just grant me a moment. Again, we're working with your plan. Do you see the plan?
2810, I found it, Council.
Yes. This is your plan that we're looking at. We've looked at it a few times already. Do you agree?
Yes, Council.
Okay, if we can go to the middle of page 2801.
280.
2810. I'm dyslexic.
Okay, I'm here.
See table 17 there?
Yes, Council.
It talks about renovations that you wanted to do.
That's correct.
And the renovations for vest copies is nearly 140 million Rand. Do you see that?
Yes, Council.
And for Sterkfontein, it's 28 million Rand.
That's correct.
That brings us to 167 million Rand, 168 million Rand. Do you agree?
That's correct.
Which, let us just turn the page. Twice to page 2812.
2812.
And then to implement the plan after the renovations, you need more staff. Do you agree? And your plan at the bottom of page 2812 says you need nearly just over 9 million rand to staff Sterkfontein. Do you agree?
Yes, Council.
And then if we turn the page again to page 2813, we need 16.5 million rand to staff Westkoppies. You agree with that?
Yes, Council.
So only on renovations and staff, no medicine, no food, no recreation, no clothing. You were prepared to pay much more. So where is the financial problem?
In fact, that number is nearly 350 million in that region.
Do you agree?
I see it, Council.
You prepared the plan, Dr. Manamela. You knew that it wasn't about finances.
Okay. Can I explain this? It was said once you renovated the ward, that ward will stay in for almost 5 years working, functioning well. Once you appointed the staff, they will be your staff until when they decide to leave. So that's what was said. But
Yes.
as I said earlier, I was not in control of these money issues. I just asked the department, the hospital, to give us what will be required so that we are able to plan.
Ma'am, we're only interrogating your version that it was too costly to keep Life Esidimeni going. That's the only thing we're interrogating. And I'm putting it to you that you don't believe that version if one look at the plan that you had before you.
My vision will be, once we renovated the ward, it will take 3 to 5 years without being renovated. And once we appointed the staff, they will be there for plus minus the time they need. But and then the patient that will be there will be taken care for this staff who will be appointed by the department.
I'm going to leave that, ma'am, because your answer doesn't make sense.
But before you leave the point, Dr. Khala, is that the right name?
Tala.
Tala. Oh, I'm sorry. My young assistant's surname is Khala. That one is Dr. Tala. I'm sorry. I've been asked her, what does Tala means? Or Khala means? Well, I'm sorry, I apologize, Aviwe. Let's get on with it. He made a proposition that sounded then quite difficult to follow. He says he doesn't think this whole project was about saving money. He says, I'll tell you what he says. For a moment, for this 350 million or so of renovations, would that have translated into tenders? Would you have needed tenders?
That's correct. For building, they needed tenders.
For, as
For
I say,
building, yes.
Yeah, roughly you add it up, it's about 350 million. So he suggested to us that this project might have been a project to create construction, reconstruction and renovations, and to create a space for tenders. You're smiling. I can see you smiling.
What do I do? Because you
What
can think,
do you say to that?
you know, I never thought of it that way. But if he said that, it might be, I don't know. But the department, when they engaged me, they said it's because of the challenges that they have. So I'm not disputing what he's saying, because at the end of the day, the contractors managed to renovate the hospital. But in my own belief, throughout the process,
In one word, in one sentence, what was all this about? Why?
managing the cost and upscaling community mental health care services.
managing costs and
in
upscaling.
the community mental health care services.
I'll leave it to you.
Thank you, Justice. Ma'am, actually we lost more than the the loss of lives in this project. Isn't that so?
That's correct, Council.
We lost jobs. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
We lost training facility.
That's correct.
We had vulnerable people suffer.
True.
And you were in the process of trying to fill psychiatric hospitals' beds. You were exacerbating the problem with people that needed to be mentally observed in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act, the 30-day period. Isn't that so?
That's not correct, Council.
Well, that's what Dr. Tala told us. And he says he raised it with you. What do you say to that?
I will say the patients that were from Life Esidimeni were not going to be admitted in forensic unit. That's why there was renovation for new unit in the psychiatric hospital to allocate them in.
And there's already a shortage of beds for forensic patients, as you put it. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
And we have state patients in prisons waiting placement in psychiatric hospitals. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
And if we take into consideration the cost of this arbitration, the cost of, you agree that's a huge cost to the department?
True.
The cost
Although I don't know how much, I was not part, but I believe, I guess so.
And we have payment of you while you're not working. That's also increasing the costs, isn't it?
That's correct.
I want to put it to you, one of our clients, Nompilo Nkosi. Nompilo Nkosi, do you know her? You've met her a few times, didn't you?
I don't remember her.
Okay. It's the lady sitting behind me.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, I see you wave at her. Do you remember her?
I think she did once come to the
Yes.
committee meeting.
No, she was in the office with you and your chief of staff in the week of the 2nd week of February 2016.
Nkosi angikwazi mina phakama ngikubona. She's very angry that I don't remember her now, like the doctor here. I do remember you.
She said she was in your office with your chief of staff and she challenged you that this is not a financial position. And she specifically said to you that she did research and nurses at Waverley were paid much less than nurses at Takalani. Can you remember her saying that?
I don't remember a lot, but I remember I was with her in my supervisor's office, not communication, Dr. Mazamis. Am I right, ma'am?
No,
and then, yes, but the nurses in Takalani.
Now, I'm not asking you about nurses in Takalani. Please, doctor, we want to go home still. Can you remember her saying that to you? Just yes or no?
It's long time ago, Council. I don't remember, but I know I met with her.
Okay, so you can't remember her saying so. She said, when she said that, you lost control of yourself to such an extent that your co-worker had to get you to back down. Do you remember that?
No, that's not correct. I never lose temper with the family and the patient, no.
Now, the statement I want to give to you is that you knew full well that this wasn't about finances. And it was for that reason that you lost your temper.
That's incorrect, Justice.
But what was it about again?
You know,
What was all this? I mean, you were the chief honcho. You were the head of healthcare. You know, sat here for weeks and I still deeply worry and wonder what was this marathon project about? And we must ask the question, when there's been so much pain, distress, and in many instances death, and you are the only one besides your political handlers who can tell us what was this about in your minds. What were you trying to do? What
Justice, that's what I was trying to do on the first day, because I felt I must tell you what events took place before I come to the question. Now is two-way. I must answer the question and tell you what happened. Unfortunate part is that people who came before me, some of them who didn't understand the process, they told you what they told you, and it's like now I come here as an accused. And I wanted to tell you, to take you through the community involvement, through the process, what we did and what we didn't do.
No, but what were you trying to do with this project?
Like I was saying, the
What
one
were
that
the
affected me.
objects? What did you want to achieve?
It was two ways: upscaling mental health community services and the cost maintainment.
You told us you know nothing about money. You
Yes,
told
but-
us you don't know whether there's enough money or not in the system.
No, I have indicated at the first day that the department was having struggle with finance, and then the MEC pronounced, and then we use that process to have to upscale the community mental health care. It was twofold, and there were other objectives, if you can look at the plan, that how we can reach there.
And why did you shut down Esidimeni before all these plans of yours had come to fruition? Why didn't you wait for these vulnerable people to stay where they are until you were certain that you would upscale services? It still leaves me sleepless up to now. Why did you do this?
It was a decision taken by the leadership that we must do it at that time. And when they extended by 3 months, it was also helping me and the project team to say maybe we'll come out. It will come out with the better services thereafter.
You know, Advocate Krause has spent a lot of time to find out whether you ever objected right through this process. And it seems on the answers you've given, you did not. Mr. Musinogi wrote letters. He pleaded for those children at Baneng, who you also wanted to move on your plan. He pleaded until there was an extension. They may have also died by now. But tell me, why did you go along with a plan that was bound to prove murderous?
The plan, I went along with the plan as I indicated about, as it was a legal instruction, falling within the legal prescription. The second thing, the Baneng issue, from the beginning, I did ask that we cannot take Baneng. That's why we were busy with the discussion to say we leave Baneng, we can't take everyone.
There was a legal instruction to take people from secure mental health care facility and take them to Takalani and Precious Angel and Sabadinga and Musejo and Enka. Is that what it was about?
At the time when we were evaluating the place were eligible to accommodate the patient.
Yeah, we're making no progress here, are we? We continue, Council. There was an opportunity for you to come clean and tell us what moved you to this tragedy, so you help us understand why, particularly for the families who sit here. When you came, that much hope that you'll tell them what was happening in your head, as Advocate Krause put to you. Tell us how you saw it. Help us understand why you would dive into such a deep, deep pool where you couldn't even swim. I mean, how did it happen?
Justice, what I was saying is how it did happen. That's what I was saying. I told you the truth that I know. That's the truth that I know.
Council?
Ma'am, I'm going to get back to this in a very short while. Let me just test. You said to my learned friend yesterday that you realized that the Constitution was your guiding object, that you have to act in terms of our Constitution. Is that so?
Correct.
And you said to her something very interesting, in my opinion. You said you weren't bound by your profession because you weren't dealing. You were dealing as a manager and not as a registered nurse. Do you remember saying that? Just yes or no, ma'am?
I think I'll say, when I say yes, I'll qualify that, because I didn't say I was not bound by my profession, but I put it clear that I was where I were because of strategic position, not necessarily that I abandoned my profession.
Okay, let us interrogate that. Did you abandon your profession?
I didn't.
Okay, did you take the Nightingale oath?
Yes, I took it.
And do you consider yourself bound by the Nursing Council 2013 ethical code of ethics?
Correct.
Do you also agree that you would do no harm as a professional?
That's correct.
Do you agree that you would protect all patients' safety?
That's correct.
And you agree with me that didn't happen here. You didn't protect the patient's safety and you caused harm.
No.
You don't agree?
I'm going to qualify that, because at the time, at the level where I am now, I was at the strategic level, not taking care physically of the patient, but I ensured that before they are placed, there is safety, there is nurses, all.
That's why so many died, because you ensured that.
No, not.
Okay, let us continue on your pledge. Did you pledge yourself in the service of humanity?
That's correct.
Do you think you...
And we'll be talking all about, women.
I did uphold when I sent the patient from the first time to the eligible NGO with the right transport, and nobody died on the way when we transported them.
Okay,
but
so in one
thereafter,
aspect you comply, but not with the rest. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. We need to look at the areas as things unfolded.
Do you think you upheld your oath to practice your profession with conscience and dignity?
It's just unfortunate because at that level I was not executing my nursing professional duty. I was executing the management duty, which I ensured that the patient are transported to the NGO that I believe they were saved at that time.
Dr.
Although there were
Manamela,
challenges later.
how do you divorce yourself from your oath?
I am not divorcing myself from my oath.
Okay. So in terms of your oath, you had to maintain by all means in your power the honor and the profession of your station. Did you do that, of your patients?
Yes, Council. By the time I did my work that I'm appointed for, I did that.
No, I'm talking about your oath now, Doctor. Please, do you think you complied with your oath?
In terms of my work, I think so.
And
In terms of my work.
your oath also included that the total health of the patient was your first consideration. Is that so? Is that part of the oath?
That's part of the oath.
Okay. Could I then ask you, was it about patients here or was it about money?
It was about both.
Part of your oath was also that you would maintain the utmost respect for human life.
That's correct.
Well, we know how many people died here. What do you say to that?
The people who died at the moment, I don't have postmortem result. And when I executed my responsibility of ensuring they move from Life Esidimeni to the NGO and hospitals, nobody died on the way, and I made sure no one was tied on the seat. I made sure that they reached the places well. And I also developed evaluation plan that also indicated when things are starting to fall apart.
Dr. Manamela, in terms of your ethical duties, in terms of the code of ethics of your profession, goes much wider than patients, doesn't it?
That's correct.
And it also includes stakeholder, that you will treat them correctly. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
And you also have a duty to the community. Isn't that so?
Yes, Council.
So being a registered nurse, as you are, you can't divorce your ethics and your oath by saying, I wasn't dealing with patients. Do you agree with me?
I'm not divorcing that, but you need to judge me at the level where I was working. That's
Yes.
what I can say.
I'm quite sure we will do that. You've already said you made no contact with the National Office to seek assistance. Is that so?
That's correct. I just gave the report.
You never raised concerns with the National Office. Is that so?
That's correct. It's not my level.
Yes. You didn't raise any concerns with the Nursing Council, did you?
No.
Even when the patients start dying, you didn't approach them for assistance?
No.
Okay.
Because
you had no contact with the World Health Organization. Is that so?
That's correct.
You didn't ask them for advice?
I didn't ask them for advice, but I know their document.
And had you ever moved patients of this number before from a mental health care facility?
I think we moved less patients from West Kopis during strike to Life Esidimeni. It was not about 500 patients. We moved them with buses. And
from
that's
one hospital to another?
To another.
And where else? That was straightforward, right?
Yes.
The procedures are clear-cut, the clinicians, the nurses.
Yes, but the hospital continuously placed the patient in the NGOs.
I'm just following up on what the questions Council was asking you. Testing your preparedness to throw out nearly 1,800 patients from a facility and then spread them out to NGOs. Have you ever done that before?
No, I haven't.
This was your trial run. It was the first time you did it, in other words.
It was for the first time I was part of the project that did that.
You know, Mr. Musinogi, who worked with you and did part of the same project, sat there and apologized. He regretted that he never told his seniors hard enough, because he did. He wrote at least 2 letters, not to go ahead with this placement process. Are you of the same view?
Yes, Justice.
The answer is yes.
Yes. If I,
Thank you, Justice. Dr. Manamela, we've already established you never raised any concerns. You agree with me?
that's correct.
But on the other hand, and I want to show you now that you also didn't listen at all to people raising concerns. So the first place where I'm going to start, my learned friend had already taken you to the email, and I'm not going to go there, from Professor Friedman asking for a plan, and that was on the 1st of April 2016. Remember that email?
That's correct.
Now, at the stage when he asked you for the plan, 2 people had already died. Were you aware of that?
They were not part of the project.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you saying Dr. Friedman wasn't part of the project, or the people that died wasn't part of the project?
The people that died at that time, we have not started with placement, because he asked the report around March, and placement started May, June.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure of that.
When did you move people to Takalani for the first time? Can you remember?
The,
It was after the court case in March, is the evidence.
yeah, I think it's after the court case. We also moved patients to Takalani during May, June, as we started with placement process.
Yes. According to the Umbud, the first person died already on the 23rd of March 2016, according to his executive summary. So you can't say you haven't moved people. People were moved.
Can I explain that?
Let us just not fight about
No,
that
I
now.
don't want to fight with you. I want you to tell you that even when the termination letter was issued, the Life Esidimeni continuously allowed to let the patient be discharged either home or NGO. That's why our plan for placement started with 1442 patient and started May to June.
Ma'am, the first person that died in Takalani was Deborah Pletla. Ma'am, on the 10th of May 2016, Mr. Friedman, Professor Friedman again asked you for the plan. We've dealt with that this morning. You're aware of that? And you soldiered on.
Yes, I think
On the
we dealt with
13th of May 2016, you did a PowerPoint presentation to the MEC. You're aware of that?
I don't know which one you talk, but I've been doing PowerPoint presentation to the project team.
Yes, we've got the presentations here, and we could refer to them if you want. At that stage, 3 people had already died. And your presentation contains no warnings. Why is that?
Yes, because the NGOs report to the district. At the time I did presentation you said it's in May.
Yes.
The district have not yet reported the death to the provincial office. That's why they were not included. If you look, I don't know.
But ma'am, you're monitoring this process. You're caring for your patients. Why did you know about it?
Because I didn't receive the report from the district that indicate that. If you would see one of my presentation where my DT placed in Life Esidimeni, they reported the death, and those deaths were included in the presentation.
Did your team not go out all the time to these places to make sure the patients were safe?
at that moment, the team, they were placed, because it's still May, until July the first week, they were assisting, ensuring that patient move from life Esidimeni in the correct manner. So the two were in another institution, two in another institution, and then the two were busy in Tshwane with the NGOs.
Doctor, on the 2nd of June, SADC wrote a letter which we've dealt with as well in these proceedings. It's the 2nd of June 2016, and the letter was addressed to you. And the letter said that the healthcare users are not getting the correct care. Do you remember that letter?
I don't remember the
You
letter.
spoke about it earlier and said it wasn't really to you, it was addressed to other people as well.
Okay.
Now, at that stage, that letter, you didn't listen to it, and 5 people had already died. What do you say to that?
What I will say is that when things happened in the district, they report to the province. At that time, I did not have a report of those patients who died.
I would suggest, Dr. Manamela, if experts tell me patients are not getting right care, I would immediately go and look where the patients are getting right care. And then you would have realized that 5 people had already died.
That's why when I learned of the death, the first death I learned about was the one at Siabadinga where the CEO reported. I immediately asked the board to assist us to go investigate, and I was so saddened by the death. So if I didn't have report, I didn't know about that, I should have done something as well.
Okay, ma'am, on the 9th of June, 2016, the families marched to your office, and you knew about that, isn't so?
I know they had matches, but I don't
They
know.
gave you a memorandum.
They handed in a memorandum.
Did you listen to that memorandum?
Yes, we listened.
You just ignored it. The process went on, isn't that so?
Termination was not my decision.
Dr. Manamela, we're talking about you as a person that took oaths, that are bound ethically, that are bound by the Constitution. I'm putting it to you, you'd have no regard to the march and what was in the document handed over to the department.
That was incorrect, Council. I was there when they were handing a memorandum, and it was addressed to the MEC, and if I was guided that the termination should stop, there was no reason that I won't do that. But it was not given to me just because I'm a deputy project manager.
Now, at that stage, 8 people had already died.
Yes,
8 people.
It's so sad, Council, because they were not reporting those deaths.
And you did nothing at the march. Do you agree? You did nothing after the march.
What is the answer?
What I know after the march, what I remember, I may not remember everything, was that there were meetings that were organized with the family through the communication unit of the department, because we were working as a team. We attended some meetings. The family who started with us, the committee, most of them didn't come. I remember the last 2 meetings, we had Mr. Peterson and Ms. Nomvula. The last meeting we had with the family, it was only Nomvula alone. So, but anyway, the memorandum was responded to and was emailed to Ms. Nomvula as she was coming to the meeting.
Sorry, Justice.
No problem. You go ahead. Well, while your counsel is taking a breather, look at the schedule prepared by the Ombud. In June, when you were ignoring memoranda, 14 people died altogether. How would a caring leader not even come to know of that? No, it's not you. They didn't report to you. Is that it?
Uh,
Look, okay.
Justice.
Would you just give...
There were some.
Could you give Dr. Manamela E56, is it? Just look at that schedule. That's what council is dealing with. On page 8 of the schedule. It's an invitation to explain how did you get it right. So many people die around you and you don't know about it. These are people that you have placed where you chose and now they are dying. Look at the schedule.
This page.
8.
Page 8.
It's E57, page 8.
Oh, E57, page 8.
That's the one.
Okay.
Just look at that schedule. I'm sure there'll be many questions about this from council. But for starters, just in June, when were writing to you, families were marching, look how many people died. 14. Can you see that total per month on the right?
Yes, Justice.
How did that escape you?
We give the district, the NGO death report forms. So we're expecting them to give us a report on how many patients, if they are transferred, for example, and died. And I had some of the information, I think, for June, but
In
not
many
all
words,
of
why
them.
didn't you know this? Why didn't you know the project is going wrong? And people that you have placed wherever are dying.
The people that the department placed in the NGO through the project team, when they started dying, I asked the board to assist us. And I also placed my DDs to say, go and adopt this NGO.
Did you know they were dying in June already? Did you know?
Yes, the first patient I knew about.
The answer is yes?
Yes, some.
Did you know 14 people died
I
in
didn't
June?
know 14 people died in June, during June.
Why not?
Because they were not reported to my office.
Okay, look at July. Look at July.
Yes.
32 people died in addition to the 14. 32 human beings under your care lost their lives. Did you know about that?
After we learned from Kalinen, we started to say, send us the death report. Then we knew about this in July. I think all this we know in July.
Why don't you stop all this? Stop it.
It was already done, Justice. The project was over. What we did within my power as the director in that area was to ensure that our DDs and the district multidisciplinary team through the other office.
They rather die?
No.
So that your project can go ahead.
No, it's not what I said, Justice.
What did you say?
What I'm saying, after I learned that some patients are passing away, I had to commence with the investigation, and I had to allocate the people from my office that don't even come to the office. Just go to this NGO straight, and then will come to the office either on Friday to report.
But why did you not stop the project dead in its tracks to save more lives?
It was already completed, and it was not within my power, Justice, to say, let's stop everything. It was not within my power at my level.
Why not?
At my level, it was not within my
Mr.
power.
Musenogi says he was scared, dead scared of his seniors. What about you?
I was just so saddened, Justice, and I reported to
Just
the
answer
to the
the question,
leadership.
please.
I was
Mr.
not.
Mr. Musenogi says he was scared, very scared, to contradict his superiors. What about you?
I was not scared to contact Mr. Musenu because that's where I was reporting, but I didn't go to the MEC or HOD and say that. But I reported that there are patients who are dying, and if really I had to.
And what did the MEC say when you said patients are dying?
She wanted us to strengthen and prevent the further death, and she said, make sure that there are no more deaths. And that's when the adopt an NGO strategy was developed. Because she, MEC, I'm not protecting her. She, in the meeting, the last meeting when we placed, she asked that the Tshwane, she allocated doctors from Tshwane to support the NGO from Ekurhuleni, from Esidimeni. And then I complement that to add my DD. And when I see that all this process is like failing, I said to my DD, we have to do something. Let's adopt this NGO until December, until we see things are working well. We never let it to go like that, Justice.
You might find more joy. You go ahead.
Thank you, Justice. Justice, I'm not going to finish by 5 today, but I can continue until then.
Clearly not. Well, I suggest we sit up to 5 and then you continue on Monday.
Thank you, Justice. Doctor, I'm not so sure on when you realized that a person
Shall we continue to keep some order, please? We can only get at it when we are quiet and listening, and must allow the witness to answer, please. Continue, Counsel.
Thank you. Mr. Musenogi said that he only heard in July, August of the deaths. When did you first hear about the deaths?
I first heard about the death around June from Siabadinga.
So you knew before Mr. Musenogi?
Yes, and okay. I reported to him.
When he found out, or let me put it this way, in 31st July 2016, there were already 44 people died. So you knew that there were a lot of deaths, isn't that so?
I didn't know there were a lot because we were looking at the time that we placed the patient, while the report of Ombuds included the death of the patient from around March. So the one that I knew, maybe Mr. Museno forgotten, because the first death that we knew at Siabadinga, that's when things changed, and then we were in a meeting with him.
Okay. And the logical thing would be to immediately find out what happened and will other people die. Is that so?
That's correct.
Just yes or no? Yes. And you would immediately, I'm quite sure, stop all service level agreements with the NGOs to make sure that you're not now entering into a service level agreement that can cause problems for you in future.
It was not in my power to do that.
You didn't check which service level agreements has been signed and which not at the time that you heard about the deaths?
I checked.
So then it was in your power, isn't it?
It was not in my power to stop the project. It was
I'm not talking about the project, Dr. Manamela. I'm talking about the NGOs. They're killing patients. And you entering into contracts with them. That's what I'm talking about.
The first patient I know about died. It was at Siabadinga, and I didn't enter into. Province was not part of the contract for that. However, we had to investigate the death, and then we asked the district to start reporting, to ensuring that they report all the deaths to us.
Ma'am, on the 10th of October 2016, your department entered into a service level agreement with Sepang. Are you aware of that?
Tsepang, I know they entered,
Yes.
but
At
I
that
don't know
stage,
the date.
33 people. At that stage, 53 people had already died.
I know they entered with the contract as the contract is done in the district. But like I said, I didn't know how many other patients died except the one I know from Siabadinga.
Yes.
And
But why didn't you know this? This is your project.
Justice,
And
they're
you have
reporting.
the duty to look after these patients, and they
Justice,
die, and you don't know that.
Justice, we depend on the report given to us.
Why don't you
And
get out
that
of your
report-
office and go and look at the NGO?
When I had time, I created time, Justice, to get out of the office over my own weekend and holidays. That was the time, because there were other work that I was required to do. So I made it a point, because patients were my priority. I visited many NGO on my weekend and on the holidays.
You know, the cross-examination suggests to me that you listened just to nobody. And death or not, you just pushed ahead.
Not me, Justice. It cannot be me who just pushed ahead. I don't understand if it's just me who pushed
It
ahead.
doesn't make it any better if you are many. Do you understand that? If something wrong is wrong, it doesn't matter how many you are. You place people at a variety of, we know now, horrible places, murderous places, where they're likely to lose their life. That's what I mean by murderers. And they truly lose their lives. And they start dying. You are not there. You are not there to know it.
The process of department
To
justice is...
stop it, to manage it,
Yes.
to reverse it.
Yes, in government justice, we manage through other people. That's why we'll have problems. If maybe it was only me, I must go to each and every NGO and manage it every day, I will still be doing that. But we manage through the district. There is a coordinator, people with special mental health care skills in each and every district.
But how do 2 months go by and so many people die and you hear almost nothing about it?
I said in June I heard about that. The other months, they didn't report. And luckily, the CEO of Kalinen reported the death at Siabadinga. And then I knew about that. And when I asked the team to go, we started to say, let's get all that. We've pushed that, let's get all the death report. But because everybody knew project started placement May, June, they were only giving us May, June. Some of the death we saw at the part of the ombudsman from March, April. But the rest, they were concentrating on placement period. And that's where maybe we missed some of the death, and it's so saddened.
Doctor, on the 25th of August 2016, you signed the service level agreement with Shama, and at that stage, 62 people have already died. And I'm saying you're not listening to people, and maybe I should quickly go there. If one go to Shama, if I understand your evidence correctly, you said that the Shama had a license, but it's not in our papers. Is that right?
I said it had a license.
I'm going to get these things now. Well, we have heard evidence.
But are you going to invite the witness to answer the first part? I thought you were asking why did you sign
Yes,
a service level agreement at that time?
Yes,
Okay.
I really want to do that, but I just want to take a little bit back in time, Justice. I don't want to confuse the
do it the way
timeline.
you choose. Counsel.
the first thing we say, we only have your word that there was a license for Shama. Is that right?
It's right, because I am not the one who gave you the document. The license was there in my office and was issued
Just
to the
yes
district.
or no, please,
yes,
Doctor.
Yes, you hear
we
from
only
me.
have your word.
Yes.
We've got no documents to show that prior to the issue of the license, that there was an inspection there.
There were documents in my office of inspection there.
Okay. We only have your word on that also.
Can I ask that maybe the people who gave you document, ask those documents, the licenses from Shama as well? Because I know for sure Shama was not given the patient without license.
Okay. So you say there was an investigation, and we know that all the licenses were dated 1 April 2016.
That's correct.
Now, can I just establish from you, did you give Shama a license on the 1st of April 2016, or did you perhaps just backdate that license?
I believe the license was signed in my office before April.
Before April?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Before the 1st of April?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But you dated it the 1st of April?
Yes, because it was saying you are allowed to operate from the 1st of April. So next year we'll give you another one. Just that's how it has been done.
Could I please take you, just on the Shama aspect, to volume 8, page 2827.
Two eight.
27, Justice.
Thank you.
Two, 8, 7. I found.
Do you see the document in front of you, page 2827?
2827.
Yes. Can you see it's an inspection at Shama House for traumatized people? Do you see that?
2827. Yes, I see that.
And it has a date on it. I'm just trying to find the date for you. If you can just turn the page. Just got it there. I have the date of that document as 20 July 2011. Can you help me find the date, please?
Under background, there is 20 July. What? 20 July 2011.
You have the date? Yes, under background, you're right. Thank you very much, Doctor. So the audit was done on the 20th of July 2011 at Shama. You see that? You agree with that?
I see it's written that
Yes.
cancel.
And then if we turn the page, we see under 3.1 that the house was not tidy. There was no ventilation in the house. The rail of the staircase was loose, and the top of the stairs, or the stair was loose. That's what it's reading there. There were no fire extinguishers. Do you agree with that, or do you see that?
I see that cancel.
The floors and walls were not clean. There were dogs inside the sleeping area. 3.2, the room was not clean, dirty blankets. Falling beds were noticed. 3.3, no water in the sink. I'm not sure what that means. Exposed wires. No clothes in the storing cabinets. 3.4. the lights and the windows weren't working properly, floors and walls weren't clean, and it goes on. And that is in 2011. Have you seen that report before?
No, Council?
Well, you say you signed the certificate in April, and your evidence is when you signed these certificates, everything was hunky-dory at the NGOs. Is that your evidence?
To start with, Council.
Just yes or no, ma'am? You can explain, but just let me know where you're going.
When I signed the license, I checked the report, it was okay.
Thank you.
Can I call, I say, this person, I don't even know this person.
No, that's fine, madam.
20 July, it was not 2011. The project was not done in 2011.
Yes, that's fine.
So,
Dr. Manamela, we're wasting a lot of time because you are trying to cover avenues or close avenues where we're not even going. I'm not suggesting that if you said you didn't see the report, I'm not suggesting otherwise. So please just let me ask my questions. My next question to you is, on the 12th of April 2016, which is then 12 days after you signed the certificate, Mr. Peterson went to Shama with some of your department's people, and he's testified about that. And he testified about the loose staircase. And he testified that it was very dirty. And he said that his testimony is that he told the department that's a no-no. You can't send patients to Shama. Were you aware of that?
I think I might be aware because that was in April and the placement was in June. When I went also to Shama and we said we cannot bring the patient unless the 1, 2, 3 things are fixed. So by that time, it means they fixed. But
why would it be, Dr. Manamela, I'm just trying to establish, in 2011 it's not working, 12 days after you issue the license it's not working, why is it necessary to go there if everything was fine when you issued the license?
Council, if I can just explain, the Shama I indicated last that they were not even licensed. That's why maybe this person who went in 2011 found things like that. But in 2016, 2015, we found that they have patients, but they are not licensed. So we started to work with them that it's either you are going to take away this patient, and then we start working with them in 2015. So the 2011 report, it can be true, but we started working at that 2015.
So Dr. Manamela, what you say in June, when you sent patients, everything was fine?
In June, when patients were sent, the NGO was eligible to receive the patient.
Okay. I want you to go.
That is the Marathon Project patients, right?
Yes, yes. So I want you to please go to volume 7. If you could go to page 2475.
2745.
Do you see page 2475?
2475. I'm still checking it. Yes, I have it.
There's a very unclear written date of audit, mental health NPO facility audit report dated 21 July 2017 of Shama House for Traumatized Persons. Do you see that?
That's correct.
I'm not going to refer you to that page. I want you to turn the page, 3 pages, to page 2478. This is part of the report that one can read better.
I found it.
And you can see on page 2478, the date of inspection is the 21st of July 2016. You see that?
Correct, yes.
if you can turn the page, paragraph 2 on page 2479, it says that they're not receiving a subsidy. You see that?
That's correct.
If you turn the page, paragraph 3, that's page 2480. Paragraph 3 says they have got no license. So what happened to the license that you issued in April?
I will not have known because the license is signed and approved in my office are given to the coordinator in the district who are taking the licenses to the NGO. That's how the procedure works.
Is there a register of licenses in the province?
Yes, there was a register of licenses.
What do you mean there was?
Isn't that I'm not there anymore since February?
So besides the ones that you signed, there
No.
would be a license kept back or recorded somewhere?
Yes, beside the one that I signed, there should be a file in the office with licenses. There should be also licenses for the NGOs that we are paying in the finance. So there are two ways that you can find that Shama license.
If we could turn the page, sorry, Justice, were you
No,
finished?
go ahead.
I'm very sorry to have interrupted.
No,
We
no,
can
no.
turn the page to page 2481. On nursing staff, it says the manager dispenses medicine. Do you see that?
Yes, Council?
That can't be right. Do you agree?
Partly agree, partly not, because it's the NGO, like at home, they had, what I found when I visited, they had a nurse who is not full-time. That's why if the nurse is not there, the manager will be giving the medication.
And it says there that the patients must do the cleaning and the washing and the cooking.
I see it and I condemn this if this is what they were doing.
And you know it's an offense under the Mental Health Care Act
Justice?
to convert patients into laborers.
No, it's an offense. We can't do that. The patient only have to have rehabilitation program.
And your Shama did that. It
That
used them
was
to clean
wrong.
up. Huh?
That is not
But
accepted.
you want to assure us that it was all fine, and you issued the license, and you know it was appropriate for, how many were there? 50 patients from Esidimeni, if that was the number.
Yes, Justice. This report is 3 months report after we placed the
It
patient.
has been put to you, how does a place deteriorate in 3 months?
But this is deteriorated. There were reasons maybe, but we will be worried because they were not even paid at that time.
Why didn't you make sure that happens?
We tried, but because it's
yeah.
not in my level of function,
Saying
they were
so.
not paid.
Okay, Council.
Thank you, Justice. Ma'am, we are on page 2482.
A2.
At the bottom of that page, it says no nursing staff. So you thought there were nursing staff, but they weren't.
I think this report says there were no nursing staff. When these people did 3-month evaluation, they didn't find any nursing staff there. That's why they are saying the manager give medication.
Yes.
So what they don't explain what happened to their part-time nurse is not indicated.
must
But
please-
I don't like that if there is no nursing staff and the way it is.
Mrs. Dr. Manamela, what question did you answer now?
I answered the question of no nursing staff.
So yes or no, there was nursing staff or there wasn't at the time of this inspection?
At the time of this inspection, there was no nursing staff.
Thank you.
It's written here.
If you turn the page to page 2484. Now we know there's a lot of patients at this place.
484.
And the second handwritten paragraph says only one manager and helper. The assistant worked very hard while we were there, while we were visiting. Can you imagine 2 people caring for mental health patients of this magnitude?
Yeah, this is not acceptable.
but yet there's a license.
This is 3 months after we gave license.
If you can turn to page 2485. At the bottom of the page, it says that the patients keep the medicine with them. Is that right?
I see it is also not acceptable.
If you turn the page, page 2486, there's no emergency oxygen, suction, or first aid kit available. Do you see that?
I see it.
Is that acceptable for that number of people?
Not acceptable.
If you turn the page, page 2487, on nutrition, it says eat porridge in the morning, bread in the afternoon, and a balanced meal at night, whatever that means. Do you see that?
Yes, Councillor.
Is that acceptable for mental health care users?
Not acceptable.
Cleanliness can improve. Is that acceptable?
Cleanliness.
Is it acceptable that people stay in a dirty place?
It's not acceptable.
If we can turn the page, page 2488, at the bottom, sorry, at the top. A group made a fire outside. Now we know there's no fire extinguisher. There's a fire outside. Busy preparing sandwiches for lunch. Some with sleeping or sitting in the sun. Does that sound like a place where you want mental health care users?
That's not good.
If you can turn the page, page 2489, says no therapies and it referred to clinics and hospitals. Is that acceptable?
This one is acceptable because if they need occupational therapist services, they will refer to the nearest clinic, which was, I believe, Refilwe.
Yeah, we know there were more than 50 patients there. It's a very difficult thing to transport people to such a place. But can we turn the page to page 2490?
2490.
The first comment on nutrition says the same routine is followed daily. It can improve. No menu available. Do you see that? It says make food according to donations they received. Is that acceptable?
Not acceptable.
11, linen and bathing requirements. No towels or paper towels or soap in the bathrooms. Is that acceptable?
No, Council.
Busy with building new ablution boxes. Is it acceptable to build around patients?
No.
The next page, page 2491. At the bottom, use cheap labor for building projects, poor workmanship. What do you say to that?
It's also not acceptable.
Says no laundry. Is that acceptable?
No.
No sick bay. Is that acceptable?
No.
The storeroom is untidy. Is that acceptable?
No.
Store petrol with food. Is that acceptable?
No, not at all.
If you can turn the page, page 2492.
But look at the no's, Council, and compare them with the yes. It's incredible. Just about nothing. Can you see that, Dr. Manamela?
Yes, I
Just
see
about
that.
nothing is suitable on page 2491. Can you see that? Anyway,
If you turn
Please
the
go ahead.
page, page 2492, rooms are very untidy. Keep pet foods in room. Linen seems dirty. Is that acceptable?
No.
If you go to the last paragraph, it says now this says one fire extinguisher not adequate for the big area. It says the gate is not locked, no security staff. Is that acceptable for mental health care users?
No.
So what you're telling us, Dr. Manamela, is that in 2011, we know now the place wasn't fit for patients. We know 12 days after you allegedly signed the certificate, it wasn't fit for human, for mental health care users. Do you agree? We know that now.
I don't have report of 12 days, but the 2011 report I also don't have because Shama was not part of our NGO, so I'm unable to
I'm not
talk
asking
to
whether you have seen that report.
No,
I'm just
Shama
saying
by
we've
itself.
got a legal presumption that if something is like a certain way in the past and is in a certain way in the future, it means in between. It was also in that way. It's a logical explanation. Isn't that so?
Although it is so, we went, like Mr. Peterson has told you, when we were preparing in 2016, from 2011 to 2015, it's almost 4 years. And we, as the province, we never knew about Shama. Only people who placed the patient knew about it. We should have terminated Shama immediately if we know. But when we knew about it, it's then that we started to take them through to improve so that we can.
But how did life Esidimeni patients end up there?
After we took Shama through the process of improving, and then at the time we signed the licenses, the area was eligible for accommodation.
What was this desperation about? I'd hope you would come and tell us you know that. Why did it have to happen, whatever the conditions were?
Justice, it had to happen.
Why?
The contract was already terminated. And that's why we were trying as mental health practitioner to assess and include all these people who can assist us. Engineers, the family, and the rest. So as the leadership terminated the contract, Life Esidimeni also had challenges. Their staff were also leaving, and there was no way that we can try to say we can't take the patient, but we had to ensure that as we sign, as we take them there, the place is okay. But it's unfortunate, in 3 months' time they go there, it's horrible, and it's so saddening.
So the person who canceled the contract is the one who's responsible for all this, right? The one who terminated the contract. We know it's the HOD, right? Is it him?
The one who terminated the contract?
Yes, who signed the termination
letter.
Yes.
Yes, Justice.
In his position, would you have signed the termination letter?
Yes, in his position, he would have done that.
No, in his position, would you have signed it?
No. Or in his position as the HOD.
If you were HOD, in all of what you know, and what was happening then, would you have signed the termination letter?
Yes, in his position, I would have signed the termination letter and looking at what is the process and the process to ensure the patient are going to be well cared for.
Well,
but if they were not going to be well cared for, I would not have signed the termination letter.
I don't know what you're saying. Yes, I would have signed it. No, I wouldn't have signed it. What are you saying?
I will sign it provided it's within the period that the patient will be transported safely and be in an adequately resourced place. I will sign it. But if I was the HOD and realized that what I just said won't happen, I will not have signed it.
Justice, I've got 2 questions on
Yes,
this aspect.
absolutely. And then we can go and rest a bit, isn't it?
Oh, thank you, Justice. Doctor, you already said that because of the deaths, you re-looked at the service level agreements. Is that so? You've just said it earlier today.
Because of the death,
Yes, because people were dying, you realize something is wrong, and as a responsible manager, you went to look at the service level agreements. Isn't that so?
I was referring to service level agreement between the province and Life Esidimeni. The service level agreement between the NGOs and the department is signed at the district level, not at my level, where in the
Ma'am,
province.
I'm going to make it short.
Okay.
With Shama, under your control of your project, on the 25th of August 2016, you signed, or your department signed a service level agreement with situation as we have here, with reports as we have here. Do you agree? And at that stage, already 65 people have died. What do you say to that? Is that responsible management?
What I will say to that was that when the people had to sign enter into service level agreement with the district, it was reported to my office that Shama didn't agree with some of the clause, and they even changed them. And then when they were confronted, when the district checked it, they took the license, the service level agreement to their lawyers, and that's why it was signed very late, while even the patient were already there. And that was the report that I got from the chief director of SWAN.
Can I just put it to you? A responsible manager would have said, please don't sign the service level agreement because they're not up to standard. What do you say to that?
I will say that will be correct.
And so you made a
provided the
mistake
scene-
there.
No, this report was not sent to me on the 21st of June as it was done. It was not sent to me because the people who
It
did
wasn't
this
done on the
evaluation
21st.
were reporting to the district. So they didn't send it to me immediately. And by the time I see about the license, the service level agreement signed, it was after it was signed when I saw that Shama had got a problem, and I sent one of my manager, DD, in the office to station there. You
didn't cancel the service level agreement. You didn't cancel the license, as a responsible manager would have done.
I didn't cancel the license because that's what was within my area. But I sent people to go and find out what is happening to Shama and decide if they can improve, and let the Shama manager commit themselves to the improvement.
You didn't cancel the service level agreement as a responsible manager would have done.
The district didn't cancel the service level agreement, and I didn't cancel the license.
Thank you, Justice.
Are you, how were you appointed to your post? By what process?
By what process?
By which process, yes.
Okay. I was appointed to the post by the process and the virtue of that I'm a senior. I have the highest qualification in mental health care services. And although I had experience at the as the CEO, but I was appointed there because I got a letter that I will be appointed in the mental health care unit.
You were once the CEO of a hospital, were you not?
I was, that's correct.
At which hospital?
I was the CEO of Mamelodi Hospital, and I was the CEO of Natal Spread Hospital.
How long were you CEO of Mamelodi Hospital?
I think over 6 years I was at Mamelodi Hospital.
But was your post advertised, and were there other competitors?
For Mamelodi Hospital?
No, for your current post?
No, it was not advertised.
Are you a political appointee?
I'm not a political appointee.
Okay. Until the day is done. It's 5:05. 5:05, and we need to. I'm obliged to inform you that and warn you that you should be here on Monday at 9:30. There are at least current council still busy, and there are 3 others who are going to ask you questions. 2 others and a re-examination. So we still have a long way to go, and I'd hope that would help you away today. But unfortunately, we're not there. So I require you to be here present at 9:30 on Monday to submit to further cross-examination. That's understood, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I've said it in English and in Sepedi language. We're going to meet here at 9:30 on Monday. Do you enjoy your weekend? We are adjourned.